Testing 1 2. Testing, testing. 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 How about now? This should be okay. 18 to 20. How about now? This should be okay. I'm thinking this should be okay. Let me get the text up on screen here for you. All right. All right, let's see here. No, looks like we are lagging. Let me change this up here real quick. Testing, testing. Is that okay? Not sure what's going on here. There we go with that. We got the text up. Audio is fine. Come on, audio. All right, perfect. Perfect. Okay. So we're good. All right. So today we're going to be jumping into Proverbs chapter 81 and going all the way up to 20. So what we've been seeing with our readings, it's been Solomon, literally tidbits. Every single verse has been like its own life lesson, its own little saying. And we just have a compilation of all these different sayings, these different little tidbits of information that Solomon has written down. I'm curious, like when he wrote them down, like they're a lot. So he's probably just maybe thinks of one throughout the day and he writes it down, or he's in bed and he thinks of one and he remembers it and writes it down, like because there's a lot. They're just little tidbits of information. So it shows like how Solomon thinks, right? He's always thinking of these sayings, so that means he's always looking to impart wisdom. Because what did we talk about? People who are wise, they don't keep it all for themselves. They like to give information and share the information, and that looks like what Solomon was doing. He, in the first few chapters of Proverbs, he was sharing information with his children, with his son, and then now it's all of these little life pro tips, these little sayings of wisdom. Okay, we're good there.
A man who isolates himself seeks his own desire. He rages against all wise judgment. A fool has no delight in understanding, but in expressing his own heart.
So someone who's foolish is selfish. They only look out for themselves. They isolate themselves, and they only seek their own desire. But someone who is wise understands the importance of surrounding yourself with people that you value, people that value you. And that's we touched on that from a different aspect yesterday and the day before.
When the wicked comes, contempt comes also, and with dishonor comes reproach. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The wellspring of wisdom is a flowing brook. It is not good to show partiality to the wicked, or to overthrow the righteous in judgment. The fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare.
We touched on that yesterday as well.
The words of the talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body.
Talking about, I'm guessing the words of the talebearer, someone who tells stories, maybe a gossiper.
He who is slothful in his work is a brother to him who is a great destroyer.
Solomon talked a lot about lazy people and how detrimental they can be.
The name of the Lord
yesterday and the day before.
Is a strong tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own esteem. Before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty, and before honor is humility. He who answers a matter before he hears it is his folly and shame to him. The spirit of a man will sustain him in sickness, but who can bear a broken spirit? The heart of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. The first one to plead his cause seems right until his neighbor comes and examines him. Casting lots causes contentions to cease and keeps the mighty apart. A brother offended is harder to win than a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of a castle. A man's stomach shall be satisfied from the fruit of his mouth. From the produce of his lips he shall be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit.
I'm still stuck on verse 19. A brother offended is harder to win than a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of a castle. So if you offend your brother, it's hard to win him back. It's harder to win than a strong city. But then we talked about yesterday how a brother will always be there for you, essentially. Um, but here it's saying that a brother offended is harder to win than a strong city. But if he's your brother, wouldn't he just forgive you? But see, this could also be touching on the idea of how sometimes we take for granted the people closest to us, our family, our brother. We take for granted because they're always going to be there. They're never going to leave, And so, because they're always there and they're never going to leave, it probably takes a whole lot more to actually offend them. And if they are offended, it is harder to win them back than a strong city. Maybe that's what it's trying to say.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord.
Ah.
The poor man uses entreaties, but the rich answers roughly.
I wonder what. I don't know if that's in all cases, right? Because I don't think did any of the major prophets have a wife? Like, did Elijah, Elisha, did they have wives? Jesus didn't have a wife. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Well, that's not necessarily meaning that if you don't find a wife, that's a bad thing. It's just saying that finding a wife is a good thing, and you obtain favor from the Lord.
A man who has friends must himself be friendly, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother.
What is that last bit? A man who has friends must himself be friendly. Makes sense, because you need to be friendly in order to have friends. But there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Is that talking about God? If it was talking about God, that should be a capital F. Let's see some commentary. Proverbs 18. Commentary. Let's go all the way to the last one. There is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Even when a man has friends, there is something that will disappoint in human friendship. The flesh and blood friends of this world are important and a blessing, but we need the friend who sticks closer than a brother, Jesus Christ himself, who called us no longer servants but friends. Okay, see, I don't think it's talking about Jesus Christ because that's not a capital F. The bond of real friendship is often closer than the natural tie. The friendship between David and Jonathan is such an example. I think this is more along the lines of what Solomon is talking about. The transition between the plural friends and the singular friend is significant. Okay. It is better to have one good, faithful friend than numerous unreliable ones. So a man who has friends must himself be friendly, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Ideally, your brother would be that friend.
Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one who is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Also, it is not good for a soul to be without knowledge, and he sins who hastens with his feet. The foolishness of a man twists his way, and his heart frets against the Lord. Wealth makes...
But see, the foolishness of a man twists his way, right? When you're foolish, you start to cut corners, take the easy path, and it's slowly falling in one direction, right? Because if wisdom comes from God, where does foolishness come from, right? If wisdom begins, right? What's the beginning of wisdom? The fear of God. So what would be the beginning of foolishness? There's only two paths. One path leads one way, the other path leads another way. So if the foolishness of a man twists his way, That shows how important it is to seek God and understand Him, right? You don't want to be in the dark. You don't want to be blinded. You want to be knowledgeable. You want to seek wisdom. And his heart frets against the Lord. Sometimes we don't think foolishness is a bad thing, but it can lead to bad things, right? The foolishness of a man twists his way. So foolishness is not inherently evil, but it can twist your way. It can turn you down to a wicked path, turn you on to a wicked path.
Many friends, but the poor is separated from his friend. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies will not escape. Many entreat the favor of the nobility, and every man is a friend to one who gives gifts. All the brothers of the poor hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He may pursue them with words, yet they abandon.
That's interesting because he's saying wealth makes many friends, but the poor is separated from his friend. And then he says, many entreat the favor of the nobility, and every man is a friend to one who gives gifts. All the brothers of the poor hate him. And how much more do his friends go far from him? So Solomon is putting importance on wealth and riches, saying that it will give you friends. Wealth and riches will give you friends, but the lack of wealth, being poor, your friends are going to run away from you. And obviously Solomon is biased in this stance because he is very wealthy. His family is very wealthy, and so he's seeing the benefits of that. But then again, does he know for a fact that the people that surround him are his friends because they value him, or do they value his money? He seems to understand that they are coming to him for his money, but he still looks to them as friends. Every man is a friend to one who gives gifts. So he knows that they're people being friends only because they're receiving gifts. But he says, well, the poor is separated from his friend. So he understands that someone who is poor won't have friends as much as someone who's wealthy. See, wealth makes many friends. So there are good things. So wealth can make actual friends. I'm assuming that this is he is a bit biased over here because of his situation, but you can't deny that you are going to get more prospects of friendship as well as if you're wealthy. So you do have a better chance, I guess, just from a probability standpoint, of having friends versus being wealthy than being poor. And where does wealth come from? What did we talk about? Wisdom, right? The fear of God is the beginning of knowledge. You walk that path to gain understanding, leads to wisdom, and wisdom leads to wealth, riches, and blessing, and longevity. So that's the path. If you want to have friends, if you want to be wealthy, you know the path to take, right? If you want to be foolish, fall into wickedness, you know the path you have to take. So there's choices we have to make. And like I said before, it's a simple choice. But simple does not necessarily mean easy. Simple can be hard.
Abandon him. He who gets wisdom, his friends go far from him. He may pursue them with words, yet they abandon him.
So they abandon him but just because he's poor. Wow. But that's what I'm saying. I think Solomon is a bit biased with this, right? Because poor people can have friends. Poor people can have loyal friends that don't abandon him just because, right? Maybe a lot of Solomon's friends are there because he is wealthy, So I feel like he's a little biased.
He who gets wisdom loves his own soul. He who keeps understanding will find good. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies shall perish. Luxury is not fitting for a fool, much less for a servant to rule over princes. The discretion of a man makes him slow to anger, and his glory is to overlook a transgression. The king's wrath is like the roaring of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A foolish son is the ruin of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dripping. Houses and riches are an inheritance from
But
fathers,
they're a nuisance.
but a
They're
prudent
annoying.
wife is from the Lord. Laziness casts one into a deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger. He who keeps the commandment keeps his soul, but he who is careless of his ways will die.
Looks like
He who
Solomon
has
is
pity
repeating
on
a
the
lot of
poor
these sayings,
lends to the Lord, and he
reiterating the
will pay
same
back what he has
knowledge.
given. Chasten your son while there is hope. Do not set your heart on his destruction. A man of great wrath will suffer punishment, for if you rescue him, you will have to do it again. Listen to counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter days. There are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the Lord's counsel, that will stand. What is desired in a man is kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of the Lord leads to life, and he who has it will abide in satisfaction. He will not be visited with evil. A lazy man buries his hand in the bowl, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again.
What does that mean? A lazy man buries his hand in the bowl and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again? He's that lazy that he can't feed himself?
Strike a scoffer, and the simple will become wary. Rebuke one.
So I think that means, a lazy man might have what he wants, all the things he wants, but he has the bowl, he has the food. He's not poor, but he can't even bring it to his mouth to eat. So what is the point in having anything? So, he's just going to waste away.
One who is understanding, and he will discern knowledge. He who mistreats his father and chases away his mother is a son who causes shame and brings reproach. Cease listening to instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge.
Okay, so
A
these were written to
disreputable
his son.
witness scorns justice, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity. Judgments are prepared for scoffers, and beatings for the backs of fools. Wine is a mocker. Strong drink is a brawler. And whoever is led astray by it is not wise. The wrath of a king is like the roaring of a lion. Whoever provokes him to anger sins against his own life. It is honorable.
That's interesting. The wrath of a king is like the roaring of a lion. Whoever provokes him to anger sins against his own life. So the wrath of a king should be taken as a constant. If you make the king angry, you should expect him to roar like a lion. You should expect him to be angry. So whoever provokes him to anger sins against his own life. So you know what's going to happen going in. You know what's going to happen when you provoke him. So you're just sinning against your own life. Dang.
For a man to stop striving, since any fool can start a quarrel. The lazy man will not plow because of winter. He will beg during harvest and have nothing.
So the lazy man will not plow because of winter. They're afraid of hard work. The lazy man is afraid of hard work. And being lazy leads to poverty. He will beg during harvest and have nothing. So instead of doing the work to get the food, he asks for handouts. He'd rather, instead of doing the work and having plenty or having what he needs, he'd rather fall into poverty and ask for handouts. That's interesting, because I feel like a lot of poverty is probably is a mindset difference. I know, like in it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I know, like in India, there's a lot of poor people, but it's like sustenance living, right? They work, they're hardworking, right? But they work for that day. They don't think. I'm generalizing. I'm talking about only certain people, not everybody. But you know, a lot of people in third world countries. Not a lot. Again, sorry, generalizing. There are people in third world countries that, especially in rural places, where they work for today. They don't work for tomorrow, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because they're working hard, and they're happy each and every day. So, but with this, what this is saying is that it's not necessarily that. It's talking about someone who's not willing to do anything, right? Who is not going to work at all during the winter and beg during the harvest because they have nothing. So during the winter, they're reaping what, I'm guessing they're reaping what they had worked. Or maybe, no. I was thinking that they're, the lazy man will not plow because of winter and will beg during the harvest and have nothing. So when do they plow usually? Do they plow usually during the winter? If they plow usually during the winter, then that makes sense. Right? They're not plowing during the winter and begging during the harvest because they have nothing to harvest because they didn't plow and they have nothing. Dang.
Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. Most men will proclaim each his own goodness, but who can find a faithful man? The righteous man walks in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. A king who sits on the throne of judgment scatters all evil with his eyes. Who can say?
Because they're afraid. They don't want the eyes of a judge because they know they'll be punished, because they know they've done something wrong. They know what's coming to them. Right? Because what did we start off with? Right? If you anger the king, expect his wrath.
Made my heart clean. I am pure from my sin. Diverse weights and diverse measures. They are both alike, an abomination to the Lord.
I'm assuming that's like cheating. You know, with the scales, where they'll have fake weights or weights with incorrect measures on it. I'm assuming that's what it is. Incorrect labeling or like measures that are incorrectly labeled so that you can cheat your way.
Even a child is known by his deeds, whether what he does is pure and right.
So even if you're a child, you have to pay attention to how you behave and how you act and what you do. Because not only does that mold you going forward, it's saying that you will be known by your deeds. You're already creating a reputation, right? So even a child should have responsibility over their own actions.
Hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord has made them both. Do not love sleep, lest you come to poverty. Open your eyes, and you will be satisfied with bread.
So don't be afraid of hard work.
It is good for
lazy.
nothing, cries the buyer. But when he has gone his way, then he boasts. There is gold and a multitude of rubies, but the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel. Take the garment of one who is surety for a stranger, and hold it as a pledge, when it is for a seductress. Bread gained by deceit is sweet to a man, but afterward his mouth will be filled with gravel.
Again, with the idea that a path of righteousness leads to longevity. Path of wickedness is temporary, right? So you may steal bread and it may be sweet to you, right? It may be tasty, it might fill your stomach, but that's only in the temporary. In the long run, your mouth will be filled with gravel.
Plans are established by counsel, but wise counsel wage war. He who goes about as a talebearer reveals secrets. Therefore, do not associate with one who flatters with his lips. Whoever curses his father or his mother, his lamp will be put out in deep darkness. An inheritance gained hastily at the beginning will not be blessed at the end. Do not say, I will recompense evil. Wait for the Lord.
21 reminded me of
will save you.
the prodigal son.
Diverse weights are an abomination to the Lord, and dishonest scales are not good.
We just had
A
that.
man's steps
That's what I'm saying, right? Solomon is probably just writing these down, making notes. He's thinking of these sayings, and then just someone just compiled them all, or he just compiled them all. He didn't go back, because there's a lot to read through. Make sure you didn't repeat any, because he's reiterating a lot. And this one is pretty much almost exactly the same. 23.
are of the Lord. How then can a man understand his own way? It is a snare for a man to devote rashly something as holy, and afterward to reconsider his vows. A wise king sifts out the wicked and brings the threshing wheel over them. The spirit of a man is the lamp of the Lord,
See, like 26 is a
searching
reiteration.
all the inner depths of his heart. Mercy and truth preserve the king, and by loving kindness he upholds his throne.
But here is something crazy. The spirit of a man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all the inner depths of his heart. And if we go back, where is it? Whoever curses his father or his mother, his lamp will be put out in deep darkness. So, could you put those two together? If you curse your father and your mother, the lamp of the Lord will be put out. See, in deep darkness, searching in the depths of his heart, right? Meaning, like, you will go numb, you will go cold. You won't feel the presence of God there, right? Searching all the inner depths. The spirit of man is the lamp of God, searching all the inner depths of his heart, right? Your heart will go black. It'll go dark. You will fall into wickedness, right? Because if you, what was the exact wording? If you curse your mother and father, your lamp will be put out in deep darkness, and you'll be one with the darkness. I wonder if you could, bring those two together. I think you sort of could, if you count the lamps to be like the lamp of the Lord and one's own lamp.
Mercy and truth preserve the king, and by loving kindness he upholds his throne. The glory of young men is their strength, and the splendor of old men is their gray head.
Because it's just signifying wisdom. They've been through a lot, They've had experiences. They've grown.
Blows that hurt cleanse away evil, as do stripes the inner depths of the heart.
Blows that hurt cleanse away evil, as do stripes the inner depths of the heart. I gotta look that up. I don't know what that means. Blows that hurt cleanse away evil. Pain is a burden, but it can bring a benefit. If we allow the unpleasant fire of pain to refine and cleanse away evil, then our sorrow and pain were not wasted. Something was gained. Maybe this is the idea where you know those people like in what was that movie? The Da Vinci Code, the guy who whips himself to relieve his pain, blows that hurt, cleanse away evil. Maybe that's where that idea comes from. In context, this is not a parental discipline, but beatings administered by the king's officers as punishment for crime. Yahweh can peer directly into a person's innermost being, but the king can touch the criminal's soul by harsh retribution. Some must be beaten back, black and blue, ere they will be better. Neither is wit anything worth with them till they have paid well for it. As do stripes the inner depths of the heart. Solomon probably used stripes here as a symbolic sense for the chastening that comes in life. So stripes meaning like scars, like whip scars. If we receive such discipline with wisdom, it will purify us in the inner depths of our heart. Physical punishment may prove spiritually valuable. As do stripes, the paradox of Isaiah 53:5 stands out sharply against this background, that with his stripes we are healed. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities, and the chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. So, I don't think it stands out sharply against this background. I think it goes hand in hand, right? God paid for our sins, right? So instead of us getting disciplined, us getting getting beatings, getting stripes, God did. Jesus did. But that's interesting. So there is some benefit to physical pain. Blows that hurt, cleanse away evil. Pain is a burden, but it can bring a benefit. It allows the unpleasant fire of pain to refine and cleanse away evil. Then our sorrow and pain were not wasted. Something was gained. Because it probably breaks us out of it, the pain, and helps us realize. It's a physical manifestation of the evil. And so you feel it more. It's like you remember it. You can feel it. Maybe that's why. But this was really short today. We're going to end right now. Tomorrow we'll jump into chapter 21. And we'll see if we continue with these sayings. A lot of these things have been reiterating the same sayings. We're getting some new ones, but essentially all of it is, you can boil it down to, walk down the righteous, the good path. Don't walk down the wicked, the foolish path. And you'll be fine. God will bless you. That's essentially what he's saying. These are just basic lessons for Solomon's children that he's giving them to read and remember. So I hope you enjoyed today's reading. Tomorrow we'll jump into Proverbs chapter 21. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.